All right, MyBookie.ag brings you our coverage here from SEC Media Days. Code next round when you log on to MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Connor O'Gara next up with us from Saturday Down South at CJ O'Gara is where you follow him on Twitter. Welcome in, Connor. How are you?
Guys, I'm doing well. I messed up. I totally messed this up. I was not supposed to be on for another hour. And
not a
then
big deal.
I, in my delusional state, I came down an hour early. Some would say that was by design. It definitely wasn't. I mixed up what floor you guys were on with the hour that I was supposed to be on.
So. Common mistake.
Yep. Yeah. But all right. Thank God it was not the 7th floor. You'd have really been out of whack.
That would have been bad. That would have been really bad.
Yep. So, well, it's good to have you at any time. We always love talking to you. You have sat through upstairs Brian Kelly. And by sat through, I don't mean that it was torturous.
No, it's sit through. That's fair. That's fair.
BK was that bad, huh?
No, it's not that he's that bad. It's just that once – I don't want to be too cliche, but like 99% of what is said in these like podium interactions is just so useless. And I so often find myself saying, well, who is that for? Like, what is the specific thing that I'm actually getting out of this? And I'll toot my own horn here. I think like the one quote that Brian Kelly had that was, relatively interesting was related to Harold Perkins and, the usage last year, not wanting to eat. Like, oh, yeah, if we could do it over again, like we'd tie him down and make him eat. Brian Kelly always has to take it to these weird extremes of, like, jokes that if you don't really – like, if you just read it, you'd be like, wait, did he actually say that? It's a fake quote. It's like the Florida State thing all over again. But, for the most part, I did not think that Brian Kelly was coming off as someone who was overly confident in a team that was ready to make that next step. But he did talk about the depth and all that stuff, which, I mean, what else would you say?
We've been doing this for years, and I can't really remember outside of – all these are cliched openers. But I think it was Robbie Caldwell. Was that the interim Vanderbilt coach?
The turkey
Do you remember that?
I wasn't here for that, but I saw somebody. It was AL.com that wrote about that this week.
Oh, did they? I didn't see that they wrote something about it.
There's not video. There's no video of it anymore, which I guess that's like a pre-YouTube era, or somebody scrubbed it off the internet, whatever this interaction was. But I have not been able to watch this.
He talked about how he grew up working in a turkey factory and he had to inseminate the turkeys.
Yeah. I guarantee you our boy Scott Forster could find a clip at ABC 3340 of it.
Well, I thought the SEC network was up and running by then.
No, because this was 2011.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This was 2011. So he talks about – and then he went through a description of the process of inseminating a female turkey.
Who among us doesn't want to know this information when we come to this place and talk about SEC football?
I think I could figure it out.
Well, yeah. I don't think it was earth-shattering, but to hear a football coach explain, well, first you got to take, it's like the thing you used to squirt, and then it's like, okay, well, that's
the funny part of those days too is, in a pre-SEC Network day where maybe it's not on TV in the same way that it is now. It's like you could actually look out at reporters and see them probably writing stuff down. Like, oh, this is how to inseminate a female turkey, and then all of a sudden they're just like, oh, they're writing vigorously. It's like, oh, that's the part that you perk up on. I guess that makes sense.
Well, then he talks about his football team. You're like, oh, Vanderbilt.
Well, we know, like Clark Lee, I don't know how long he survives. I'm sure it's going to be another terrible year. But the other team here that's really interesting that we were talking about earlier is Shane Beamer in South Carolina because, a couple of first good years, but misses a bowl last year with an NFL quarterback in Spencer Rattler. And, Connor, you know this, man. When you look at that schedule, I think they're going to be underdogs in 8 games.
Yeah.
And let's just say they win the ones they're supposed to, and they're 4-8. But I don't know what your expectation is for a South Carolina, program with what you've got now in the SEC.
Expectations are low, and I followed Shane Beamer throughout his entire time at SEC Media Days last year. I was with him basically from the moment he got here to the moment that he left, all the behind-the-scenes stuff, all the interview rooms, all that. And one of the interesting things that I thought about the way that he came across was everybody asked him about the momentum of beating Tennessee and Clemson. Oh, what's this momentum? He's like, momentum is great in that it gets you conversations with boosters that you don't previously have. And there's a buy-in that isn't necessarily there if you just have another ho-hum 6-6 season. But he said that doesn't really mean a whole lot once these games actually start. And so I was sipping the South Carolina Kool-Aid last year just because I thought the East was really up for grabs for that second place spot. And so I looked at what they did well the year before, and I said, yeah, they might have some momentum, but Spencer Rattler, the version of him that we saw at the end of 2022, that's like confirmation bias for all the things we heard about him as a recruit. And then he actually, I thought, played really well, but you lose Juice Wells. Your offensive line's just a joke, and he can't stay healthy. And then defensively, it was bad. So I think he had a very different mindset coming in this year, being a little bit humbled and understanding like, yeah, I'm coming off of a 5-7 season. We're not the dark horses in the SEC, and it's a very different vibe this year than it was last year with South Carolina.
Well, you said you bought in, so if I would have told you last year at this time we're sitting here, hey, one of these two teams out of the East is going to win 11 games, Missouri or South Carolina, would you have gone South Carolina?
Let me say it in Spanish for you. No. Look, Mizzou is in such an ideal spot for the timing of all of this, of the 12-team playoff and everything. And I remember thinking last year, like, we're going to run this back with Brady Cook. Why in the world should we expect different results? But when you hire the right assistants, it makes all the difference in the world in college football. And there are certain coaches who realize that. There are certain coaches who do not realize that. When you bring in someone like Kirby Moore that runs this offense, that knows how to put guys in the right spot, that says, oh, Luther Burden, you should play in the slot. Dom Lovett, he's off to Georgia. We're going to utilize you in the best possible way, and we're going to take advantage of all these mismatches that we can get. That's going to work for us. And then their defense, like Mizzou had 5 defensive players selected in the NFL draft. Mizzou had more defensive players selected in the NFL draft than Georgia. Like, that is Blake Baker development. That is understanding your personnel, and he took over a defense that was a train wreck when Steve Wilkes left it after 2021. And so to see that rise that quickly, can't say that I saw that coming. He's going to be the most confident person here at SEC Media Days. Eli Drinkwitz will be, more than anybody else, because that dude was confident before he even had winning seasons.
There's no
and
doubt.
now off 11 wins,
Yep.
he's going to be sipping some kind of Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and as good as Lane Kiffin is on social media, Eli Drinkwitz actually is the funny one in the interview. He's really good. Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. Read his stuff all the time. He joins our platform constantly. More with him as I tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Connor will tell you as you age from 20 to your 30s to 40s.
Yep.
Guys, life changed. UCA with over 35 urologists on hand, 16 locations across Alabama, treating all your urological needs from prostate health to kidney stones and everything in between. They'll take care of you. Visit UrologyCentersAlabama.com, UrologyCentersAlabama.com to schedule an appointment. One of the great things Connor did recently was a sit-down, part of your podcast, with Jalen Milroe of Alabama. Your biggest takeaway from sitting down with a guy who seems to be so comfortable now in his role with this Alabama team, what was it?
What a difference a year makes, and what a potential difference this staff can make with him. I think the way that he comes across is someone that's just always positive about everything. Like, if you see him in the public light, I said to him, I'm like, you say the greatest Roll Tide that's ever been said. You always come off as this infectious type of guy that I don't ever question, like, you know, the leadership stuff, like all the cliche things that we say about quarterbacks. But what does it look like if you actually have a coach that believes in you and can maximize your skill set in the best possible way? And while I do think there are going to be growing pains with Kalen DeBoer, I think he questioned that with Tommy Rees. I think he wondered, like, is this guy just like Bill O'Brien? Does this guy think I should, like, change positions or something? And then you saw the maturation for him down the stretch last year, and he was a different quarterback. So I came away from that conversation being like, he likes the Kalen DeBoer offense, and he likes that he doesn't necessarily feel like he has to, you know, maybe at times he feels like, oh, he couldn't, you know, celebrate. He's like programmed not to celebrate big plays in practice. He talked about how Kalen DeBoer, like, you know, came up to him after he made like a big time throw in practice and was like what's wrong? Like, why aren't you like celebrating? Like, you made a big time play. He's like, oh, I guess I can do that. He's just been so ingrained in the Alabama way, and maybe that's going to help him. But I think being able to relate to this new coaching staff is something that is going to help him immensely in the long run. I think too many people are sleeping on him as being one of the best players in college football, just as he was last year.
Yeah, I mean, that is something. We were just talking to T-Bob Abier about this same topic about an hour ago, because he makes the point, you know, you see what he did under Tommy Rees, which, I mean, it's almost like you're speaking ill of the dead. I don't know that Tommy will ever get a chance to show he's a really good offensive coordinator. I don't know he'll ever get that shot again.
He's young, man.
He's young.
32.
But it wasn't ideal.
It wasn't.
To say the very least, it wasn't an ideal situation for Alabama last year. And now you're with a guy that coaches, but as T-Bob pointed out, he said, go watch his big games. Kalen DeBoer runs 34 times in a big game. So it's not just some guy that's going to come in and throw it all over the field. He's going to have a balanced attack for Jalen Milroe.
Last year, the offense that Washington ran, I don't think is the prototypical Kalen DeBoer offense. We have this impression because he reached great, unbelievable heights, but he doesn't want to throw the ball 40 to 50 times a game. They threw the ball 40 to 50 times a game because of Michael Penix's injury history, because behind Dylan Johnson, their running back depth was nothing. I mean, nothing. They would line up Jeremy Bernard, who's now at Alabama, and get him the ball in the backfield and try and do these creative things because they just did not have that depth. And they decided, all right, we can be a team that throws the ball this high volume because we've got 3 NFL receivers on the outside. We've got a guy that likes being in the pocket and can do these things. So I think Kalen DeBoer has done a really good job throughout his career, really, of being able to adapt to his personnel. And he's going to have to do that at Alabama because this is a very different group than the one he just left.
What would surprise you more this season? Tennessee gets to a college football playoff or Jalen Milroe wins a Heisman Trophy?
That's a good question. I don't think either of those things are out of the realm of possibility, but I do have Tennessee going 8-4. I'm going to say Tennessee going to the college football playoff is more surprising. The one thing that people have kind of pushed to the back burner with Josh Heupel, and while I am more of a believer than not, and I do think that he has done so many things to kind of quiet the stench of this Jeremy Pruitt haze, whatever that was that Tennessee was in, coming off of that with the NCAA investigation, all that stuff, is I think people have kind of overlooked the fact that he really hasn't had success against the rivals yet. Like 2 wins against the likes of Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. That's it. Through three years, that's great. You're making $9 million a year now. You have to show that, okay, you go into the swamp. Oh, it can't just be, well, we always lose here. That's the type of stuff that if you're that good, if you're that guy, you got to be able to correct that. And so I am a believer in Nico Iamaleava, still crushing the pronunciation of that one.
But you
not
did it well.
Crushing.
Yeah, it was very good.
Let's try and say it with my chest. But I have questions about the defense, what it looks like behind James Pierce Jr., if they're going to be able to navigate that schedule. It's a really, really difficult schedule. I think the benchmark is going to be 10-2 to get to the college football playoffs. So could they be 9-3 with having a chance, depending on some of those games that they win? Absolutely. But I'll take the Jalen Milroe Heisman prop, I guess, ahead of that one.
Iamaleava? Is that close?
Not quite.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Teach me, Connor. Teach me.
We always thought
Iamaleava.
Iamaleava.
That's pretty good.
Iamaleava.
You just got to say it like I used to do.
It's like
Uyangalale. I used to do that 10 times a day in that off season. Tonga Bailoa, I would do that like just say it. Just get comfortable with it.
Tagovailoa always seemed easier than these others.
Yeah, once you realize, like Tua very early in his starting said you've got to think of like the tongue as the first syllable. And then once you figured that out, you're like, oh, it's actually pretty easy. Tonga Bailoa.
Give it to me again.
Tonga Bailoa.
No.
Uyangalale?
No. I've got those.
Iamaleava?
Iamaleava.
Iamaleava. I've heard him pronounce it, and I've heard and I've been more confused after listening to him pronounce it. Yeah. But Tennessee's got it right there in the pronunciation guide.
Yeah, it's like you're teaching English to Spanish. You're over in Europe teaching English to some people not from America. You're very good at this. We're going to play a game.
We have gifts, and we're going to play some.
Let's see what you got there. That's for just showing up.
How about that? Our participation trophy is this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Open it up.
Open it and see what you got.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Don't get too excited.
This is Wheel of Fortune when Pat Sajak, R.I.P., from the show, not like in real life.
Yeah,
He's
he
still
did
alive.
not die.
This is like when he opens the envelope and there's great suspense.
What do we have
here? I just opened. Oh, my gosh. We have got something that – this is as good as money in SEC country. We have a Waffle House gift card.
That is good.
How about that?
Of the gift cards, that's the best one thus far.
I think it is, too.
I love it. This is actually worth more than money. Some people would say that.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Thank you. Just for coming on. This is a true.
Now
wow.
you've got a chance to win cold, hard cash. You saw Ian Fitzsimmons walked out with a $100 bill.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So right now, Ian Fitzsimmons is on top of our leaderboard as we turn to our fake leaderboard. Fitzsimmons is at $125. And then T-Bob is at $45. You have a chance to jump on the leaderboard here.
That's right. We're going to need you to step back here and play some puck. Keep the headset on.
Okay.
Yeah, let me get you the hacky sacks here.
That's right. Yeah. Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South.
You get two shots to make one.
Two shots to make one.
So you can take a pick. You can do I would suggest these, but you can do the bucket ball that it actually came with.
Okay, so I was trying to study this, and I did not really have much success. I'm going to put this down for a second here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would take a maximum $100 throw.
And I've got to ask
tied
you
for
because
the
we're
lead.
hovering over it. Do you want a cold beer?
If my mom sees that I've had a cold beer before going on Feinbaum, I'm not going to hear the end of that one.
Yeah.
So next time. Next time.
Why did you have a beer before you went on fine? Why is your mom like a?
What is my mom's accent?
All in the family?
What are we
Oh my
doing?
gosh.
Where did your mom grow up, Connor? That's so weird.
Not in 1930. I don't know what that was. All right. It's been a minute.
Connor.
Going overhand.
Oh.
Too far.
That felt like it was cash.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
All right.
Yeah.
I do like the feel of these, though.
Yeah.
This is the correct choice for
I would
bucket
I
agree.
made your mom Lois off Family Guy.
My mom is actually a triplet. She's one of 12. Amazing backstory.
Oh, I want to hear the backstory.
Connor
That felt
O'Gara.
close. That felt close.
Yeah.
But just for participating, you're all in the drawing for a Roback gift card, $250 gift card, or Roback.com.
That's right. We maybe
I
check-
love Roback, too.
Go
I'm a
220.
huge Roback
It's
fan.
great stuff, man. I'm head to toe in it today.
$250.
Do we get your contact information in case you win the $250 gift card?
I know how to
Can we
get to it.
contact him?
Yes, I'm more than welcome that.
Can you summarize your mom's backstory?
She's one of 12. I always say to my grandpa, who is no longer with us, he died at age 95, but I say, thank God you didn't stop after 8 because I wouldn't be here if you did. She was number 9. Her siblings were 10 and then 11, and then they had a 12th, and then we're like, hey, we're good. Grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, great little place called Evanston, Illinois. And, she's doing well. She lives a fascinating retired life now and just gets to travel the world and do whatever she wants.
Dude, how can he have 12 kids, live in Chicago, and make it to 95?
Here's the amazing thing. My grandma never worked a day in her life. He gave a considerable amount of money to all of his kids, all of whom are still living, which is amazing, by the way. 12 kids, all still living.
How's the oldest? What age?
Oh, the oldest is 80. The oldest is 80, and the youngest is 64. 64, I want to say, my Aunt Megan is. Shout out Aunt Megan. She's listening.
Damn, what is a family reunion like?
We had one under sad circumstances a few weeks ago for my cousin's funeral. We don't need to end on a sour note. But I didn't mean to go there. I didn't mean to go there. But no, they're epic. We have a burn open. We have like a golf event where like my entire family that we'll be at in like 2 weeks. That my entire family will be at, and it's a scene. It's an intimidating thing for like in-laws to come into because there are just so many cousins around, and it's just it's fun though. It's a lot of fun.
How'd your granddad make his money?
He was an engineer. He was an engineer.
Not a train engineer, like an actual.
Like a hell of an
Yeah, he made like parts for like World War II and stuff, and was
Wow.
Yeah, I mean he's another fascinating human being. But yeah, he lived this incredible life, and he was very good with his money. Made some good investments as
for
well.
him.
Legal investments.
Damn, was he around for the Chicago Fire?
Not quite.
Okay.
No. 1921. No. That was like 1890, right? I think.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
so.
I've been on the architect tour like 3 or 4 times. I always forget the year.
It's the best. The
It is
architect tour.
awesome.
People don't talk about it. My best friend's wedding. They do the architect tour in there when they're about to kiss and then they don't kiss. That's the architect tour in Chicago. It's beautiful.
It's incredible.
All right. So Connor just ruined my best friend's wedding. If you haven't seen that
You
yet.
haven't seen that?
What is your
No,
problem?
I have, for those that haven't. But we will end on an up note. I mean, 12 kids in 16 years. I mean, he enjoyed things.
It's something like that. Yeah, maybe I got the years wrong. And it's like the youngest is 63. It's insane though.
Yeah.
It's a number that even as a father of one, I cannot fathom.
You ain't catching him.
Nope.
All right. He's one of our favorites, Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South.